Talk a lot about freshmen on this show, and for good reason, Drew. If you take a look at the 2024 class and the five stars, well, we feel pretty good about it. I think 28 of those guys saw snaps over the weekend in week two. But what about that class of 2023, those redshirt freshmen, the true sophomores, or as we like to call it, the second year surge? Drew, we're going to highlight a couple prospects in this segment that we think are on the cusp of breaking out in year two of their college football careers. And I'm going to start with Keldrick Falk of Auburn. I know some Auburn fans need good news right now. I'll tell you this, you got a bona fide stud in Keldrick Falk, Drew. I love this kid. Everything about him, the number 62 player in the country, number 9 defensive lineman, coming out just 2 years ago. This dude was a stud, formerly committed to Florida State. It was a big win for Hugh Freeze and Auburn to get him back in the boat. You and I were talking a little bit earlier today. Here's a little bit of a spicy take. Guys in the same class of Keldrick Falk. You look at guys like Reuben Bain, Peter Woods, both guys freshmen All-American at their position, at the defensive line position. This guy, in my opinion, has the best chance of going early as a day one NFL draft choice. Just everything he can do. They line him up as a 5 technique, 3 technique, outside in, quick twitch, explosive, speed to power. He was a menace against Cal on Saturday in a loss, 10 tackles, 3 sacks through 2 games this season. He had 2 of those on Saturday. Drew, I love this kid. He's got it all. PFF grade of 81.1 through 2 weeks this season. I'm buying all the stock of Keldrick Falk right now.
I was trying to buy it back in the summer months. As soon as Auburn sent him to SEC Media Days as a representative to speak, you only get to choose, I think, 2 or 3, and Keldrick Falk was one of them. I thought that was notable. We keep talking about Auburn, right? I don't think it looked good on Saturday. Some questions about the quarterback position, the offensive line, but I liked some of the parts on defense, and I think it starts with Keldrick Falk. I'll never forget, All-American Bowl showed up in the middle of the week coming from the Under Armour game. He was the first individual who was like, whoa, who is that? Keldrick Falk. Also played some quarterback there in high school. Really, really special athlete. Coop, I'm going to go to the other side of the Iron Bowl. Justice Haynes, running back at Alabama. This was our number 3 running back in the class of 2023. Cedric Baxter, the top-ranked running back, he's injured this season at Texas. Reuben Owens, our number 2 ranked running back at Texas A&M, he's also out for the year with an injury. Justice Haynes kind of in a committee role right now with Jam Miller, but you look through 2 games, 17 carries, 148 yards, 8.7 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. That includes a 29-yard scamper this past weekend to help put the game on ice for Alabama. They were in a bit of a dogfight there with USF. I think the Crimson Tide have some questions up front on the offensive line. We know Kalen DeBoer wants to throw it around. They got a big mobile quarterback in Jalen Milroe. But I think as we get into SEC play, Justice Haynes is a guy to know. And to me, what I want to see from Alabama, throw him the football. He's a really good 3-down back. He can catch it out of the backfield. Elite balance, body control. I think that's an element of his game that they can unlock while they continue to move him with Jam Miller. So Justice Haynes for me. Who else you got?
Well, I wanted to ask you real quick, is this the type of role that you saw Justice Haynes taking on when he was coming out of the state of Georgia? I mean, the 2 guys that he was ranked behind are bona fide dudes, guys in C.J. Baxter at Texas, Reuben Owens at Texas A&M. Both of those guys out this year. You and I kind of talked at the beginning of the season. It's a big opportunity for Justice Haynes to really kind of become a prominent name on the national scene. You mentioned splitting carries with Jamarian Miller. I just wonder if you feel like the workload could expand for him as the season continues in Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely, Cooper. I mean, he played at Buford High School there in Georgia. He was kind of the featured back, also utilized with some other guys around him. I mean, he, to me, if I'm Kalen DeBoer in the Crimson Tide, with him and Jam, you know, I think you kind of bring one in to spell the other and kind of ride the hot hand late in games. You bring Justice Haynes in the 3rd quarter for a drive, and you just get him going when the opponents wore down. So a bit surprised, you know, it's been a more, casual start to this career. But I do think when we get into October, November, we'll see where Alabama is with the college football playoff. He's going to be a big part if they are in the conversation. They got to get him going. Again, I have some questions about that offensive line. I think the Crimson Tide trying to figure that out. But to me, Justice Haynes, someone they got to get involved more and more.
They need Caden Proctor back. The freshman All-American missed the first 2 weeks of the season with an arm injury. Welcome Formby, obviously getting his first dose of starting experience, really struggled on Saturday night against USF. All right, Drew, back to me. I'm going to go with Darian Mensah, and I've been talking about this kid a little bit, and I don't know if you've seen him, but his performance against Kansas State, I thought it was absolutely noteworthy for a guy that nobody really knew about coming into the season in New Orleans. They had Ty Thompson there, the Oregon transfer. You had Kai Horton there, who had played some ball as well. Now Darian Mensah, the redshirt freshman who only had an offer from Idaho just 2 years ago, comes in and is leading this team toe-to-toe with Kansas State. They had a legit shot at pulling the upset here. 19 of 29, 65.5% completion rate, 342 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, an INT. He was sacked 5 times. The pressure started to get to him late in the game. Drew, I thought he played a pretty clean game in critical situations. The poise, the accuracy that he played with. John Summerall has something here. The other thing that you and I were talking about, this guy is going to be a very hot transfer portal name in December. You can guarantee that. But we saw Tulane step up for Michael Pratt when Michael Pratt was linked to Florida just a year ago during that offseason going into his last year with the Green Wave. So I think Tulane is staring down a situation where they have their signal caller of the future. I think that school has enough resources. They'll step up. They'll keep him around. But this kid, Drew, I mentioned it. I kind of like Tulane coming out of the group of 5, and that's even with a school like Boise State and the way they played Oregon on Saturday night. This kid's really got something to him. John Summerall has echoed that. He's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, and Coop, you bring up the transfer portal with him. I think there's some people trying to like cover their ears, cover their eyes if you're a fan of Group of 5 football. But this is the reality. How many recruiting boards around the country, or I should say, personnel scouting departments, is his name probably on? I mean, there's probably multiple Power 4 programs that have already written him up. That's the nature of the beast, right? A lot of NFL evaluators being dragged into the college game. Why? So they can identify these individuals and, potentially maybe tamper a little bit. But more importantly, if he were to enter the transfer portal, they're ready to pounce. I'm going to the Big Ten. We were talking about the Big Ten earlier. How about Penn State linebacker Tony Rojas? I called him a Ferrari that hits like a Mack truck coming out of high school. Played 144 snaps as a freshman, really getting involved now. 94 snaps in back-to-back weeks there for Penn State. Holds a 75.9 overall grade from Pro Football Focus. Most notably, an 81.5 coverage grade. That's one of the best I've seen for a young linebacker prospect. Penn State, bit of a scare over the weekend, but we liked what they did week 1 at West Virginia. Big season ahead. Everyone's talking about that offense. Drew Aller, Andy Colton-Necky, the new offensive coordinator. I think Tony Rojas is certainly a name you need to know alongside Abdul Carter and the rest of that front 7. I mean, this was a kid that was like throwing down dunks in high school. Bit rare to see for a mid-skill like him.
He was a major athlete and more of a run and cover guy. I think we always loved the athlete coming out of high school. I think the biggest question that I had personally was the frame, and was that frame going to be able to hold up in Big Ten play between the tackles? But Drew, he really flashes in coverage, had an INT, covering the running back on a wheel route out of the backfield. That was beautiful. This guy can do a lot of different things. That is very, very difficult to find that skill set with second level defenders. Love that pick there, Drew. This one right here was more of a choice where I was like, I can just kind of see it with this guy. This kind of seems like the next kind of like staple of Clemson's defensive line. And that's saying a lot because they got a lot of talent there. Talk about Peter Woods, Tamarian Parker. How about Stephylan Green, Drew, a guy that we kind of tucked in on the back end of the top 247. We had no data points on this guy. We were flying blind. We loved the tape. I tell you what, he's emerged. They've scaled up his snaps. He had, I believe, only 17 in week 1 against Georgia, 40 snaps against Appalachian State in a blowout. But this guy had a sack. He's disruptive. I love his ability on the interior. He's versatile. This guy is a presence, Drew. And you think about what they had done on that defensive line with Nick Eason, what he continues to do with those interior bodies, finding these guys out of high school that can play early, develop them within their first 2 years to be major contributors. That is not an easy thing to do. Clemson makes that look relatively easy.
And it's not stopping anytime soon, Cooper. I wrote about it last week for CBS Sports. Hey, Clemson's issue is offensive player development. On defense, they are fine. You look at this 2025 recruiting class, I love the guys they have committed up front. Amari Adams, Isaiah Campbell. Those guys are some of the best seniors that I've watched. They continue to reload there. They have no issues when it comes to finding defensive linemen and getting them right and getting them ready to play early on. My last one, Cooper, I'm going to plant my flag here. Going out to the Big 12, Utah. Got a chance to watch some of their game over the weekend against Baylor. They had a chance to boat race them. Cam Rising gets a little dinged up. I believe he could have kept playing, if it was a bit closer. I think Utah might have the top young tackle duo in the country. Spencer Fano, he played as a true freshman. He's back as a sophomore, anchoring the right side. Well, the guy on the left side, Caleb Lomu, redshirted last year. He has started back-to-back games, won the job in camp on the blind side there. We love this kid coming out, number 164 overall for us, 14th offensive tackle. So-so showing week 1 against Southern Utah, but against Baylor, 66 snaps, 0 pressures given up, 75.7 grade from Pro Football Focus. Look, Utah's going to be in the CFP conversation. I think their tackle situation is about as best as you're going to find right now at the Power 4 level with Fano and Lomu. Really like those two and what they can be, not only this season, but 2025, 2026, and beyond.
His emergence is key, right? It allows Spencer Fano to kind of slide into that right tackle spot, which he played a lot of in high school as well, I believe. So Utah, you look at what they've been able to build on the line of scrimmage. They're known for the point of attack. Drew, just a couple years ago, you and I were talking about it on the podcast, whatever we were called back then. Will Campbell, Emory Jones. Now LSU has one of the best offensive line units in the country.